What if I told you that trying to avoid IRMAA might be the biggest mistake you could make in retirement? Now, that might sound odd coming from a retirement planner, but I'm about to show you how improper planning could force you to pay IRMAA surcharges forever. And this all stems from a conversation I had with a new client when he said, hey, I want to avoid IRMAA at all costs. But what he didn't know is that avoiding IRMAA now could cause him to pay IRMAA surcharges forever. And that's why I'm making this video today. If I haven't met you yet, my name is Jacob Duke, and I own a retirement planning firm where we help people just like you plan smarter so you can retire better. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing you what IRMAA is, how it works, and how trying to avoid it could actually cause you to pay more in IRMAA surcharges throughout your life. And be sure to stay to the end because I'm going to be walking through an example in my planning software to show you exactly what I'm talking about. So first, what is it? IRMAA stands for Income-Related Monthly Adjustment Amount, and this is a surcharge or an additional premium that you would have to pay for your Medicare insurance if you have too high of an income in retirement. And right here you can see these different IRMAA surcharges, what they are and what the brackets look like. And we can see that married filing jointly, at least here in 2025, if you have a modified adjusted gross income, an MAGI, of $212,000 or less, you do not have to pay any surcharges on Part B or Part D. If you're single, it's $106,000 or less, and you can see how those brackets go from there. Now, it's important to know how IRMAA actually works because you can see at the top of this chart, you can see that it says your 2023 MAGI was, and then it has the brackets below. So what this is saying is this is looking at your income 2 years ago. It's not looking at your income in the current year. It's looking at what it was 2 tax years ago. So here in 2025, your IRMAA surcharges this year are based on what you earned in 2023. So if you made more than $212,000 and you're married filing jointly in 2023, then you could have those IRMAA surcharges here in 2025. Now, once you go over that $212,000 mark up to $266,000, what you can see is on the far right, you can see what the surcharge actually is. So you have your base premium for Part B and Part D, and these surcharges would be added on top. And what you can see is as soon as you go into that next bracket of $266,000 up to $334,000 if you're married filing jointly, and obviously corresponding if you're single, you can see that the surcharge is actually going to basically double how much your premium is for Part B and for Part D. So you can see right off the bat here that if you don't pay attention to your income year to year and manage that or try to limit that as much as possible, you could be paying IRMAA surcharges because of that, which brings up why people would want to avoid them, right? They don't want to pay additional premiums on their health insurance through Medicare if they can avoid it. And so typically as a retiree, your goal is to keep your income low so that you don't have to pay that. But what I want to show you today is that if you intentionally keep your income low early in retirement, it could cause you to pay more in IRMAA surcharges later in retirement. And if we look at this example here in the planning software, we've got real data behind the scenes, but the names are obviously changed. And so what we can see is we've got a total net worth of about $3.7 million, $50,000 is in the bank. And then we have investments of around 2.8 or so million with 1.8 being tax deferred in Bob's IRA. Sue's IRA has $650,000 tax deferred. So for them, taxes could be an issue down the road. Specifically, RMDs could be an issue down the road. And that's why these IRMAA surcharges could become an issue once they get to RMD age. They also have this brokerage account with about $400,000. They have a paid for home that's worth about $850,000. So I don't want to spend too much time on their retirement planning necessarily because they are good to go in terms of how much they're spending. They spend about $8,000 a month in addition to whatever they're spending on health insurance and Medicare. So their spending is fine. Their projections are good. In fact, if you know me or watching my videos, you know that they can spend more than what they're currently spending of $8,000 a month because I don't want that probability of success to be 100% all the time. Okay, let's focus on the tax section of this because that's where we're going to dig into their taxes, some things they maybe can do around Roth conversions to both lower their taxes throughout their retirement, but also lower their Medicare premiums, the total amount to be paid throughout the rest of their life. So as we look at this, we can see their effective tax rate is the lowest in retirement that it's pretty much ever going to be. It's going to go down slightly here as they turn on Social Security at 67, right? Because taxation on Social Security is not full. At most, 85% of your Social Security benefits are subject to taxation, at least as it stands as of the recording of this video. There's a lot of discussion around this. Whether or not taxes on benefits will be eliminated completely, obviously we'll see if that changes here and we'll adjust accordingly. But we can see that over time, the tax rate essentially goes up simply because of how much income is being taken, and most of that has to do with RMDs that would kick in here at 75. So you can see that tax rate jumps up to an effective rate of 60 16.8% across every dollar. And just so you know, Bob and Sue, they're in Florida, so they don't have any state income taxes, only federal to worry about. But their tax rate goes up and it stays elevated throughout the rest of their life. And this is a 1 year difference here between them passing away. One person, they're both passing away at 90, but one person is a year older. And so you can see they might have a tax issue here in the future. And so this period of time where they have perhaps lower tax rates than they might have the rest of their life is what we call gap years. They might want to think about doing Roth conversions and looking at their options there to reduce their total tax bill throughout the rest of their life. Now, if we look at this here, we can see what tax brackets they're going to be in. Obviously, they're filling up that second bracket, about the 12%, just based on their income and where they're pulling that from. But as soon as they do get to RMD age, it will be jumping up above the 22% bracket. And this assumes that the TCJA never expires. It just says whatever we have today goes into the future. If we start making too many changes or assumptions, then we get way off of what may be reality. So it's hard to make a lot of assumptions here on the tax rate itself. But if everything stays the same, this is what it will be looking like. And they could be getting close to that 24% bracket there in the future if they don't watch out. So RMDs, they're going to have taxes forever. Now, if we look at something else, we can look at their Medicare premium tax brackets, right? So if we can look and see, hey, are they going to owe IRMAA in the future? Right now, they do not owe any IRMAA because they're below that $222,000. And you can see, as I move this to the right, you can see that that first bracket is increasing and inflating over time, right? So that's gradually going up. It's not until they get to RMD age at 75 that they actually cross over and have to start paying IRMAA surcharges because their income is now elevated, right? And so that's the problem we want to solve for here today. Okay, let's go ahead and look at some things and see what we can do. So I'm not changing anything except for whether or not they're doing Roth conversions. And so what I'm going to say is I'm going to say that they're going to do Roth conversions here in the first 6 years of retirement. They're 65 right now, so that would put them in 2025 doing a Roth conversion all the way until about 2030, at which point they would be about 70 years old. So 6 years worth of conversions. Let's go ahead and fill up they're filling up the 12% bracket pretty much already. And if we go back here to the ordinary income tax brackets, let's fill up the 22% bracket and see how much that helps us in terms of total tax savings. So this green shade right here, you can see that is Roth conversions being done. And what that does is on the back side of this, you can see that there's a darker blue shade and a little bit lighter blue shade above it. The lighter blue shade tells us the original without Roth conversions, and this darker blue that you can see here, that's with the conversion. So you can see they don't necessarily get out of the 22% tax bracket in the future once those RMDs do kick in, but how much they have in the 22% bracket, how much income that does fall there, it looks like it's about cut in half. And so what this does is this gives them $233,000 more money at the end of life, both through tax savings, so taxes not being paid, but also tax-free growth now happening in their Roth IRAs. They could have to leave for kids or grandkids or something down the road. So that's tax-free money that's compounding now. So $233,000 is the benefit of doing Roth conversions up to the 22% bracket for 6 years until they get to age 70. Now, if we increase this to 24%, there might be additional benefit to be found here, and there actually is. So we actually can say, hey, there's going to be more tax savings over time if we increase our Roth conversions to fill up not just the 22% bracket, but also fill up that 24% bracket. So we can see we're doing a lot more conversions. We're increasing our taxes over this 6-year period that we will be doing them. But if you look to the right, that dark blue shade right here, we're not even touching the 22% bracket ever again for the rest of our lives. And so our RMDs kick in right here, but there's just a very small jump you can see in this darker blue section. And over time, it starts going down and down and down. So our tax rate in this scenario, we would start higher at the beginning of retirement by doing these conversions, and over time our effective tax rate would be going down as opposed to the original. The original was our tax rate only goes up over time, so it's kind of the opposite, and that's what the Roth conversions can do. So that's their tax savings on their portfolio and how much tax they would be paying over time, but let's focus on their Medicare premiums, okay? So if we flip this back to Medicare premiums and look at what they might be paying in IRMAA. So again, no IRMAA until they get to 75, whenever the RMDs will kick in. That's without conversions. Now, if we add in that 24% Roth conversion situation we just outlined, they would pay IRMAA surcharges for the first few years, okay? And then that would drop off and they would never pay IRMAA surcharges ever again. So they're paying IRMAA surcharges for 6 years, but they're not paying it for the rest of their life, as opposed to they're not paying it for this amount of time and they would pay it for the rest of their life. So you might be thinking, Jacob, well, is it worth it to do that? Is it worth it to pay really high IRMAA or Medicare premiums at the beginning of retirement as opposed to later retirement? What's better or what's worse? And that's a great question. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to look at the details of this, and I wanted to say, what is the total Medicare premiums that are going to be paid under this projection and this scenario, both with the conversion and without the conversion? So what we can do is we can look at Medicare premiums right here. And what I'll do is I'm going to download this into an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to show you these two things side by side. All right, so right here you can see what the total Medicare premiums would be under the scenario of them not doing Roth conversions. You can see that we're assuming that both of them live to age 90. And what I've done here is I've totaled this up, and from now, 2025 until age 90, which would be 2050, they would pay a total with all the surcharges and the base premiums in place without doing Roth conversions under that first scenario. They would be paying $571,000, almost $572,000 in total Medicare premiums over that particular time period. Now that's without conversion. So what I wanted to do is compare this to the with conversion scenario, filling up that 24% tax bracket. And you can see here in this chart, you can see that their total premiums paid over their lifetime is much less. In fact, it's over $200,000 less in total premiums paid by doing the conversions compared to not doing the conversions. So you can see as you look at this, you can see in the first few years, you can see that they're paying way more surcharges. They're paying way more in premiums because they're paying the IRMAA at almost the highest bracket there. So the premiums are increased for that period of time, but what that does is that limits how much IRMAA they pay to a select number of years. In this situation, it's 6 years that we'd be doing these Roth conversions. And from that point forward, their IRMAA surcharges would be the base or normal premium. So they wouldn't have increased premiums for the rest of their life. And so really what you can see here is by doing this Roth conversion strategy, they can save themselves $200,000 of Medicare premiums over the rest of their lives, assuming they both live to age 90, that they're going to be not paying into the system, and they get to keep that money, go spend it, enjoy it, leave it to a loved one, or leave it for an inheritance one day down the road. And that's real planning. That's really what this is about. So I don't want you to think, hey, I want to avoid IRMAA at all costs. There might be some benefits to actually paying IRMAA intentionally by doing this Roth conversion strategy, not focus just on the taxes saved over time by putting money into a Roth, but how much could we save on IRMAA or Medicare surcharges in the future because we don't have those huge RMDs. So I'd love to see your comments down below and share what you're doing to avoid IRMAA or how your strategies are coming together so that you pay less tax throughout retirement, but also minimize how much you're paying in Medicare premiums. And if you're somebody who's looking for help with this, you can schedule a call with me. It's completely free by clicking on the link in the description below. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video.